Can you see me? Here I am. Are you here? I never know quite how to start these things. The video quality for me is awful, which is fine because I see 0 participants. But if participants start to join, I will keep talking about, oh, Amy just showed up. Hello, how you doing? So good to see your names. So good to see your icon. It's been a while since I saw your icon. Oh, hello. Payal is here. Payal Sharma. Oh, with 2 little doggies. What cute doggies are there? Hi, Jonathan. How you doing? I love the little spoons, Jonathan. Liz, Margaret, all our friends are here. Doggy, Sarah, Kelly, Michelle, Ray. So many wonderful people. Oh, wow. Okay, as long as people are still joining at a fairly rapid rate, I don't really start because it's like microwave popcorn. Things keep popping, pop, 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 pop. And then when they start going pop, hello from Portland, Oregon. Hi, Stephanie. Pop, 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 pop. Then, you know, okay, we're close enough. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Allison. Hi, Janice. Hi, all of you. Oh, it's yummy. It's yummy to have you all come into my house, even though my house and I are blurry. Usually the sound is good. If anybody is like, how are you, how's it going? It looks really blurry for me. Can you guys see me? From South Africa, Merle, all the way from South Africa. Woo! Oh, and Edinburgh and Vancouver Island, BC. Oh my gosh, there are other countries besides America? What? Why didn't they tell us about this? Oh, yum. Emma Campbell-Webster, hi girl. Everybody else, hi ladies, hi gentlemen. I think we're in a good place to start. We're about 2 minutes in. So this is what I've been thinking about this week, and then we can talk about it. You know, people talk about having mind versus soul, or small self versus higher self, or whatever. One of the words I use for it is meat self, which is this body of flesh with this mammal brain inside it. And then meta self. Meta means other. So it's another self. And actually, I put in the word meta self once into my computer, and it auto-corrected the spelling to meat self. It was like, surely you mean meat self, not meta self. And I thought, oh, what a great parallel. There's our meat self, then there's our meta self. But you can thank autocorrect for the word meat self. So I believe that there are kind of 2 aspects of the self, and one has more access to spiritual truth than the other. The body has its own integrity and is very tied into truth in this like material plane. But there's also, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and the spiritual being part sometimes comes in and directs the meat self. Especially if you're familiar with my idea of the team, which is another rearrangement of those same letters, M-E-A-T. The team is what I call a group of individuals whose job it is to come to Earth at this point and maybe steer us away from total global climate disaster or whatever else is going to wipe out the human race. So it's kind of a save the world adventure. And this is all just me. Yes, I feel this in my heart, and the evidence of my life supports it, but I also hold it very lightly. I'm not trying to start a cult or be totally nutball. It's just a fun way to think about it. As Byron Katie says, it's a fun story. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it until I don't. Now, here's the thing. Everybody in this room has got to be on the team, because there's no way you'd chime into a broadcast with me unless something about that appealed to you, because I don't even try to appear mainstream anymore. I just believe this stuff. And if other people believe it, I respectfully and lovingly do not care. So my lesson for the team today, it's based on my experience learning from my wonderful dressage master friend, Katya Elk, who is as I said, she's a dressage master. She knows how to train horses to do those amazing sort of dance-like routines in the Olympics and other places. She's also a life coach, so yay. So she once gave me a lesson in horseback riding, at which I am very bad. But it was amazing because she can turn you into a centaur. She can teach you to like connect with the horse's body the way they do in Avatar, so that the nervous systems link and you feel like one with the horse. It's pretty amazing. But what she was working on one day was she wanted me to get the horse to go sideways. Now, my understanding is it's pretty easy to get a horse to go forward. You learn, the horse learns that if you tap gently on the flank, which is the only way we ever do it. I guess some people kick their horses, but I was told to flutter my foot against the side gently. And that says, move forward, and you redistribute your weight so the horse wants to move forward. And backward, you give ever such a slight indication with the reins that the head comes back, and then you shift. It's mostly shifting your weight. So that's pretty good. The horse is used to going backwards and forwards. But then you want to teach it to go sideways, which is not, I don't think, probably as typical for a horse in the wild. I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Katya's a good teacher. You ask her. Anyway, my understanding was what I was told to do was flutter my foot and move the reins at the same time in a way that felt contradictory to the horse a little bit based on what it knew. And at the same time, shift my weight to encourage it to go to the side. And sure enough, my horse was like, what do you want from me? What do you want from me? And finally took a step to the side. And what you do when the horse gives a behavior that you want is you take all pressure off the horse. So you stop fluttering your foot, you relax the reins. The horse's reward for doing what you want is total freedom. Yeah? And it's not that you're keeping it captive at other times. It's just that you're learning to be together. So I used to ask in my head, what is the mission of the team? What is our real mission? Like, yes, save the world, that's easy, but how? What are we supposed to do? And those of you who know my work know that the answer I would get in my head repetitively, I have a thing in my head that repeats song lyrics or poetry, and usually it's just a phrase, and I don't know what the whole song is. And when I Google the whole song from that phrase, I get the answer from the lyrics, or in this case, the poem. And the poem that I did receive in my head every time I asked what's the mission of the team was, I said to my soul, be still. This is from T.S. Eliot. Be still and wait without hope, for hope would be hope of the wrong thing. And wait without love, for it would be love of the wrong thing. There is yet faith, but the love and the hope and the faith are all in the waiting. Wait without thought, for you are not ready for thought. So the darkness shall be the light and the stillness the dancing. That was the answer I got. And I'd be like, that does not give me a lot to put on my list of to-dos today. But what I've been realizing is that since we can't know the mission, it's learning to think in a way we've never thought before. So if we were to be given it in words now, or even in concepts, we would necessarily misunderstand it because our way of thinking has to change as part of this transformation. So what has happened to me, and I want to ask you if it's happened to you with the help of my redoubtable technical person, Ro. Hello. What I want to tell you about is the feeling of getting gently agitated in a way I don't understand. Sometimes it's not so gentle. Sometimes if I don't respond, what I get is like, I get panic, I get high anxiety or depression or something, like feelings I don't understand, and they don't feel connected to anything. One time, this went on for 2 or 3 months, and I was meditating a huge amount, and my anxiety just went up, went up, went up, went up. And I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? And then I realized that when I looked at certain books, like the covers of certain books, the agitation would go away completely. There would be complete release. And the books were weird choices, I think. Like this was one of them. Discovery of the Presence of God. I saw it. I'm going to take a snurple here. I saw it on Amazon.com or something, BarnesandNoble.com, and all my anxiety dropped. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll order it. And when it came, just looking at it made my anxiety drop. And then I started reading it, and that made my anxiety drop, even though it said odd things. This is not the most readable book you will ever find. I'll read you a sentence. The totality of the foregoing results in a distillation of critical premises that constitute the essentials which need to be known in order to facilitate the evolution of spiritual consciousness in the individual seeker. Like, thank God I was an academic. I can handle that. But what it's about something that he says, something he calls transcendence by illumination. And he says, it is statistically unusual and therefore baffles comprehension. But, okay, long story short, he's talking about a process of transformation of mind, and he goes through it step by step. And all the books that would relieve my anxiety were about that. So a very weird concept came into my head, and I began to think maybe this process called enlightenment is what we're supposed to be after, even though it seems like hubris to even expect it, to even hope for it. So, but wait, without hope for it would be hope for the wrong thing. So what I want to talk to you about is what happens when have you ever had an experience where you felt agitated, and then you thought or looked at or did something that you'd never done before, and suddenly there was peace, absolute peace. You made a decision to go out to lunch with a certain friend, peace. Or to go for a walk in the woods, peace. Or to go to a disco, peace. Like it could be anything. It's so weird. But we're being guided by our meta selves. And I think our meta selves, they don't show up and say, here is your mission for today. They say, you feel agitated, you feel strange, you are being asked to do something you've never done before. And when you accidentally stumble into it, I'll relieve the pressure and give you peace. Ooh, so Terry says, yes, that's happened. But I want to know, yes, Natalie says, listening to the true self who forever knows what we need. Yeah, and it knows what we need, and what we need is not what we think we need, and it may not be even what we can think we need. So Kelly says, absolute peace when I'm following my gut and am in nature. Man, have I felt that. I went out into the woods for a year after I moved to California, and then it was like, move back and be with people. Allison says, listen to the body. So if you get really still and the body says, eat an avocado, suddenly you'll get this emotional, physical stillness. And there's also kind of a shimmer of for me, there's a shimmer of this really sweet energy that's almost like electricity. Marlene says, we are cosmic horses. So yesterday I was talking to a friend who was going through a lot of phobic stuff. And I said, well, you need to be nicer to your body. And she's like, no, that's not it. And I was like, oh, I'm wrong. And then I said, well, okay, maybe you need to be emotionally nicer to yourself. We tried that. She said, no, not really. And then I said, well, maybe you just need to find your friends on the team. And suddenly it was like, boom, 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 energy just pouring through me. And she started to laugh. Her mood lightened. That's a really good example. We were just like casting around for what could it be? What could it be? And what it was friendship. It was simply friendship. Kim says, yes, our bodies have infinite knowledge. Listen to your body. And what I'm saying here is your body does have infinite knowledge, but your body is in cahoots with your spirit. And your mind is the last to catch on. So I love the proverb that the mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. when you think you know what to do and the body and the emotions aren't at peace, it's time to let go of mind and start trying different things and noticing really subtle differences. If I see that book, I feel peace. Okay, I'm going to go toward that book. It's all the game of you're getting warmer, you're getting colder. Oh, Natalie has a good point. She says, the challenge is to quiet the mind so the soul may whisper. Do you remember that wonderful part of the Old Testament? I think it's, who was the prophet who ran away? Was it Ezekiel? I can't remember who it was, but he ran away because there were people who wanted to murder him. And he hid in a cave and he prayed for God to speak to him. And then there was an earthquake. And then there was a landslide. And then there was a massive fire that came one after the other. And it said, and then came an earthquake, but God was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a landslide, but God was not in the landslide. And after the landslide, a fire, but God was not in the fire. And after the fire, the still small voice. I think I got that quote. Oh, it was Elijah, and I got the quote wrong, but you get the gist of it. Thank you, Jennifer, for the reference. So yes, Natalie's exactly right. There's so much around us, and when the intuition comes, it comes as a stillness, an absolute stillness. Anne says, I took a mental health day where I just followed my animal around, ate when I was hungry, took a bath when I was cold, took several naps. Doesn't that sound odd for us? Because culturally, it's not the way we do it. You can live that way. Maybe we're supposed to live that way. Like, I really believe that nature and culture are natural opposites. Jonathan says, be still and know that I'm God. That's another gorgeous quote from the Old Testament. And here's another thing. When you get the right thing, first there will be peace, but then there will also be miracles. So for example, when I went into this complete stillness, there was a day when I sat down to meditate, and a voice in my head, I usually don't hear things, but it said very clearly, your name is stillness. And then I went deep into, this was after I'd read these books and I'd been accepting the idea that maybe we're supposed to go toward what the Asian mystics call enlightenment. And when I accepted that it was possible, I got peace, but I also got this incredible depth of stillness. Holy, that's not a photo in the back, that's a painting I made. Somebody said, I have never seen that photo in the back. I would go into this stillness, and it was exquisite. It was bliss. It was the absolute opposite of the anxiety. And then my redoubtable technical assistant, Ro, she showed me a poem that she had written. And the poem is, tell me where I'm wrong here, Ro. It's somebody looking back on the perilous time when the team had to step forward and change things. Oh, it's God's voice talking about the time, but from the future of where we are now, talking about the team and talking about how we almost broke the world. And there's a phrase in it talking about after the crisis. And it was, instead of the great building, it said something like, then came the time of the great unbuilding where everyone's name was stillness. And I'm telling you, I had been sitting down to meditate every single day and thinking the thought, my name is stillness. And then I would go in, and it was magical. And then Ro gives me this poem, and it talks about when everyone's name was stillness. And I was just like, because it was such an odd phrase. I'd never thought that phrase, but I knew it gave me peace. And then I got confirmation, and it was a poem she'd written years ago. So, I want to hear about Casey's tug of war. Casey says, I have a tug of war going on in my mind right now. It's exhausting. Casey, can you say what the tug of war is? Maybe we can find a way to give her some advice on, Deborah says stillness is the miracle. And that is true. But then we get other miracles, like people we love showing us poems that validate exactly what we've been thinking. So those miraculous things, They come in the stillness, in the peace, and it's a very subtle thing. It's like the horse responds to an absence of pressure. It's not what we think. It's not the earthquake. It's not the thunder. It's not the fire. Laurie says, just reading a Krishnamurti on a chapter titled, wait, on action without idea. Stillness of the mind, acting without idea of the outcome. The problem, if you love it, is as beautiful as the sunset. If you are antagonistic to the problem, you will never understand. Ooh, so nice. So actually, you know how this fits, that quote fits in with what I'm talking about, is that when you understand a so-called problem as your meta self who loves you, trying to teach something you've never thought before. So it's not that there's an evil, like you're a horse with someone antagonistic and cruel on your back. If there's someone loving and gentle on your back, and it's trying to tell you there are things you can do that you've never done. One of the things Katya showed me was, I think it was an Olympic winner of dressage or something, but it was a horse, obviously, with a rider, and they put the music on. And here's the thing, it was so beautiful, it made me tear up. That horse loved to dance. Oh my God, the way a ballet dancer loves to dance, that horse, you could see in every movement that it loved music, loved to dance. And without the rider, that horse would not have learned this bizarre dancing, which, by the way, was originally used as ways to use horses in battle so that you could like stab people. But now it's become this balletic thing. And without our meta selves, our meat selves would just trudge through life and die. But instead, it's trying to teach us to dance. So Casey says, I asked her about her tug of war, and she said, I think I need to take a break from my work right now. I can't tell you much because I'm a teacher, but I feel like I'm abandoning my littles to a horrible situation. Oh my goodness, yes. I was just thinking about the fact that when men are under stress, they secrete fight or flight hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. When women are under stress, we secrete those fight or flight hormones and also what are called the tend and befriend hormones. So we get a gush of adrenaline, but we also get a gush of oxytocin. And what that makes us do is want to take care of everyone. So when we're under stress and it's time to leave, or it's time to stop something, or it's time to end a relationship, or whatever it is, women in particular, men also, but women in particular will tend to get an actual hormonal surge that says, but you can't abandon the people you're taking care of. So what I've had this a lot. I worry about, for example, my son, Adam, who has Down syndrome, as you know. And I remember thinking, oh, how am I going to take care of Adam? It was at a time in his life when something was changing. How am I going to take care of Adam? And the voice in my head, which isn't nearly as common as I'm leading you to believe, said, whatever made you think you're taking care of Adam? And I was like, yeah, that's hubris. My meta self was saying, let go, let me take care of Adam. Let Adam's meta self take care of Adam. Let God take care of Adam. Let everyone take care of Adam. So getting stuck in a tug of war of mind, wait without love, for it would be love of the wrong thing. There is yet faith, but the love and the hope and the faith are all in the waiting. So we wait and we listen and we respond and we go with the stillness and the miracles and the peace. And we start to become one with the rider. And when I studied enough on the horse, I would get these moments when the horse and I were the same being. And when I knew what it was feeling and I knew it knew what I was feeling. And to get that relationship with our own higher selves is to dance through this life in a way that we would never have done before. And so maybe you'll leave those children, Casey, And something more magnificent than you can imagine will come in to care for them and to care for you. And maybe you are one of the little ones you mustn't abandon. You mustn't abandon it by ignoring the feelings from the rider, from the meta self. So, Casey is sending me a meta hug. Yes. Jenny is sending Casey. I'm sending you a meta hug in support. We're all going to meta hug each other like crazy after this broadcast. So I'm just asking you to recontextualize all the stress you feel as potentially having a spiritual dimension. Elizabeth says, I offer self-care for unpaid caregiver. The oxytocin link makes so much sense. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me too. And just to remember that those stress hormones, they're from the wisdom of the body, but the meta self in cahoots with the body is the way out of the stress. The mind is not the way out of the stress. It is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. So when you stumble across the right answer, read this book, meditate, call this friend. The peace inside your body, connected with the knowledge of what you're supposed to do next, that informs the mind. So the mind can then say, maybe I'm supposed to do this. And if the mind is wrong, the agitation continues. But when the mind picks up a little and says, I should do this, then the whole self, body, mind, spirit, is all in unison. And there's a kind of chiming feeling. Like I got talking to my friend yesterday on the phone. For me, it's this clarity, it's a stillness, but it's electrical, it's soft, it's beautiful, it's loving. It's so subtle that I wouldn't have noticed it when I was still responding mainly to the stresses of culture. But once you know its flavor, then you just trace it like a seal can trace a fish, the path of a fish through water by the scent. And if you just follow that, then stresses become very small because you respond quickly. You learn faster. Jonathan says, without love, hope, or faith, but what about anticipation? Like the smell of rain coming, of a deep knowing of something you cannot know on the horizon. It's happening. I'm getting the energy because Jonathan's question is taking us, I'll speak for myself, in the absolute right direction. I think I've said before on this broadcast, but I'm going to say it again. When you trust that even your suffering is happening for you and not to you, then your yearning and your wanting disappear as painful states and they become pure anticipation, this absolute knowing that you are carried, that you are being held, that there's a direction to this and you don't even need to know it. You just need to pay attention to the rider and to your body. So the anticipation becomes everything. It's like, wow, what does today have to show me? So it's been almost half an hour and I want to finish by saying that after one of my lessons, Katya took me out of the arena where I'd been practicing teaching the horse to go sideways and whatnot. And she took me into a field that was just grass and trees. And she said, what I want you to do is lie down on the horse. And I was like, what? And she's like, yes, on your back, you're going to lie down. So I'm lying down on this horse, which is very odd. My legs are dangling, my arms are dangling. I'm on my back looking up at the sky. Do not try this without a very skilled rider with you, but this was a very gentle horse. And as the horse walked with me in this beautiful rocking motion, that wasn't like a rocking chair, it wasn't like a boat, it was an animal presence rocking me. And I started to feel like a baby being held in the arms of an adult, a loving, safe adult. And the horse was so huge and so strong and so gentle. And I began to completely relax. And after I got off the horse, I realized that feeling state is the way my meta self wants me to feel. It wants to say, I've got you. I'm stronger than you can imagine. I'm more loving than you can imagine. I'm taking you places you cannot imagine. And I will keep you safe. I will keep you safe in the stillness. So everyone out there, everyone's name is Stillness now. See if you can get your meta self to talk to you this week. Let your mind go. Listen to the body and the spirit and gravitate toward whatever brings that deep peace inside you. And see if you end up doing something that you've never done before. And put it on Facebook or bring it to the next gathering, because that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to have so much fun. Thank you so much for coming. I love these things. I absolutely love them. Rose, say goodbye.
Bye, Ro.
Thanks to everybody who showed up, everybody who asked questions. Love you so much. Talk to you soon.